Welcome to Cannabis Roundup, presented by Outlaw Technology. I'm Hans Dietrich.
And I'm Bree Oaxaca, and each week we speak with the companies in the trenches of the seed-to-sale process.
We also have Dave Eagleson, founder of Outlaw Technology, with us again today. Hey, Dave, how are you?
Good. I'm glad to be here, Hans.
And today we have a very special guest, Grace Hyde, head of operations for District Cannabis. Great to meet you, Grace, and thanks for popping on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Grace, we're all looking forward to hearing about District Cannabis, the state of cannabis in the District of Columbia and in Maryland. But first, tell us a little bit about your background and how and why you got into cannabis in the first place.
Sure. I started working in cannabis in Rhode Island, went to college for sustainable agriculture. And when I was approaching graduation, I was looking around at jobs, and the cannabis industry was just starting to really fold in New England. So I started out, like most people do, as a trimmer. And after doing that for a little while, I moved over to retail, and I ended up managing retail at one of the dispensaries. And then I transitioned into wholesale edible production at the dispensary. And then from there, I moved to wholesale edible production for a wholesaler. And then around that time, that was around late 2017, early 2018, the market really started to change in Rhode Island, and it not in a way that was beneficial for wholesalers. So I started looking at other markets I could move into and moved down to the district. And I worked at a dispensary there for about 6 months before ultimately joining District Cannabis, who had recently finished an expansion and was bringing online their lab and wanted to expand into a kitchen. So I joined the team and I launched our entire edible line. We have a robust line of edibles and topical products that we produce. And then from there, I moved into the lab at District, and then I was managing operations, and then was helping out a bit with our Maryland facility. And now I'm back focusing just on the District as we have opened up our first retail store this year, expanded some of our wholesale production operations as well. So now I'm just back focused on the District, which is an extremely volatile marketplace. It's very unique marketplace. No other place like it in the country.
We're excited to hear it. So I'm also very happy to hear of someone who's moved up the ranks, starting as a bud tender. And so many places just bring in people who have no experience in the industry, but you know this industry, I can tell. So that's exciting to us too, to talk to somebody like you. Tell us a little bit about District Cannabis, though. So you're in the District of Columbia, but you're also in Maryland. How many locations do you have? How many grow facilities, retail in Maryland? It sounds like you've only got one dispensary in the District right now. Is that correct?
That's correct. The company started in the District with cultivation and manufacturing. Then we added cultivation in Maryland. And then we opened our first retail in the District this spring. And then just about 3 weeks ago, we opened manufacturing in Maryland. And then we're also adding retail in Maryland in November. So we've gone from 3 to 6 licenses in the last year. So it's been a big year for us.
And you said you were working in a dispensary in the District when you moved over to District Cannabis. So you were operating under those kind of weird rules they had there where you would buy some kind of swag and get weed for free. Is that the way it operated?
So those are illegal dispensaries, the structure that you're referring to. So in the District, there's something called Initiative 71. So the District voted to legalize cannabis recreationally in the District. Congress did not like that. So they immediately passed a rider that has prevented the District from using any tax dollars to implement its own adult use cannabis program. But Initiative 71, that legalized cannabis possession and consumption, made it legal to gift up to 2 ounces as long as you don't collect any money in exchange for it. So it started as pop-up events, and now it has morphed into full-on brick-and-mortar stores where these operators will sell you a sticker for $60, and then you'll get a free gift of a vape along with it. Really exploiting this loophole. That's not even really a loophole because there's more than 2 ounces on hand at the store. So being I-71 compliant is quite easily debunked by, the nature that they have more than 2 ounces on hand. And where's it all coming from? I-71 did not legalize interstate trafficking, and this product is not being produced in the District. In fact, it's advertised as get your best Cali bud here. So
wow.
They're all coming from out of state, California, Oregon, Maine. So so the dispensary that I worked at, it was a legal medical dispensary. The medical program has really expanded in accessibility in the last year and a half. So we got something passed called self-certification. So instead of needing to go to a doctor, you just self-attest that you are using the product for medical purposes. For district residents, this is free. So you can acquire your medical certification in less than 5 minutes, whether you're in state or out of state. If you are out of state, you can access the program for as little as $10 for a 3-day visitor pass, or you can get a longer length certification if you want to. But for district residents, it's free. It lasts for 6 years. It's incredibly accessible as a medical program. So we've gone about as far as we can go with this rider still in place, but the congressional rider is really preventing the district from launching the adult use program that its citizens said that it wanted many, many years ago. But the will of the citizens doesn't matter as much as the will of Congress does when it comes to the district, unfortunately.
Yeah. So is there reciprocity too, though, if you already have a medical card from another state?
Yes. Almost every state in the country.
I'm in neighboring Virginia, Grace, and we are in not the exact same situation, but again, Virginia residents voted for legalization. They wanted a adult use market, and then we got a new governor. So everything's just been stonewalled. But of course, Virginia has their medical market as well. Not the self-certification part, which is pretty awesome. But hopefully we'll see things in our two neighboring states and districts work towards a more ideal market. But the good news for you guys, of course, is you've got Maryland. So what's been your impression of the Maryland market and how things have been going with legalization, or with adult use, I should say, going into effect last summer?
So Maryland did an excellent job with the rollout of the adult use. The legislators really learned a lot of lessons from other markets. One of the biggest things that they did, which they did receive, some pushback on, but it ultimately led to the market success, was allowing all of the medical operators to transition day one. So all the medical operators were able to grandfather in as long as they were able to pay the conversion fee, which was not, our conversion fee was $1 million. So it's not,
Oh my gosh.
it's hard. It was a lot for everyone. Luckily, they let you pay it in installments, but it was a big deal to be able to convert. But by doing that, you did not have the issues that you see now in New York, where they had this big delay, and people are going to fill the void if there's a void to be filled. It was really successful day one because we did not have this big waiting period. So we had a lot of operators ready to go. We had a lot of people were building out their facilities in the year, 2 years ahead of time. So ample supply. There were no supply shortages. And in fact, prices have come down a lot faster than everyone expected, wholesale included, because there was a very well-enrolled medical market. So a lot of people already shopping that would be shopping in an adult use market, and then, ample supply. So,
yeah, I can tell you from experience living, I'm an hour west of DC, and a lot of people that I know who, of course, want access to a cannabis market, they used to go in and take full advantage of the gifting services in DC. And now those people are driving an extra 15 minutes around the Beltway and now supporting the Maryland stores. So, Maryland's really reaping the benefits that, neighboring DC and Virginia are, robbing themselves of.
Yes.
I'm curious as to the compliance side of things. I know Maryland's a metric state, obviously. DC's a metric state. DC's always been kind of an enigma in my mind, even how it operates. Is it following very closely to Maryland?
So DC utilizes metric. The regulations have been evolving quite a bit in the last few years, getting up to date. We have our first third-party testing lab licensed as of last Friday, or 2 Fridays ago. Finally, this medical program has been open for almost a decade. We finally have a third-party testing lab. So the program's definitely evolving and becoming much more structured, thorough with the regulations. A lot of it does mirror Maryland. Some things are a little bit different, like the purchase limit in DC. You could purchase up to 8 ounces per month, which is quite a bit higher than a lot of other programs. But I think they're trying to take advantage of those reciprocity patients and out-of-state people. But for the most part, DC is evolving to look a lot like Maryland as far as the regulatory structure.
And how are the prices in the the medical dispensaries, the legal ones, compared to Maryland, and also compared to the illegal gray black market stores?
So compared to Maryland, they're pretty comparable. I mean, it can't be, exorbitantly overpriced compared to Maryland because people can just go shop there now. So we have to really, there's a lot of factors to take in mind. Competitive pricing with the illegal market, competitive pricing with Maryland. But on top of that, it is just so much more expensive to produce in the district. There are some licensees from the illegal market that are transferring over, and they're definitely having sticker shock because they're used to, seeing these West Coast prices of products that, failed testing out there, or, there's too much, so they had to move it out east. So they're definitely used to a different price point. But in comparison to Maryland and the illegal market, I think we're priced pretty well. Right now, we're finding that we have to be priced lower than the illegal market to get people over the hurdle of taking the time to self-certify and be able to shop at a legal dispensary versus the ease of shopping in the illegal store. But it's not, as far as like nationwide prices go, like it's pretty good. Like you can find a $35 eighth every day.
Okay, that's not bad. But can you still make money though? Because I know you have very few cultivators right in the district, right? I mean, how many original licensees were there, and how many growers are still left in the district?
So original licensees, there were, I want to say 14 or 15. We've had 5 licensees go out of business since June of last year, 3 cultivators and 2 retailers, almost entirely because of the pressure from the illegal market. And, it's just hard to compete. And so if you're making a choice of where you're going to invest your dollars, 4 of those 5 licensees were owned by MSOs. So there were 2 Columbia Care licenses and 2 holistic industry licenses. And they obviously have money that they could put into these facilities to keep them going if they wanted to. But when looking at the landscape in the district, where we've been asking for enforcement against the illegal market for 7 years, and it was supposed to really start meaningfully this year, and it still hasn't happened. So if you're making a choice in where to continue investing, people are not continuing to invest in the district because we haven't seen any real movement on the part of the government to rectify the situation.
I know you're closely following what's happening in New York because it's kind of a similar situation. Not quite. Obviously, you don't have Congress controlling it as much. Tell us about Operation Padlock that's happening in New York and any successes that you may know about with the enforcement they're trying to initiate there, and what they're trying to do in the district or what you're lobbying for.
Yeah, so New York has been very successful with their padlocking program. In the first 30 days, I believe it was, of being open, they got 300 stores closed, which is about 10% of their estimated 3,000 stores that were open, operating legally. But in that 30 days, they saw a 27% increase in sales. I mean, they're seeing huge benefits from the enforcement measures they've been taking. And a real reason that it's happening so successfully in New York is because their mayor is getting out there, really publicly endorsing this program and its success. It's clear that the state is behind Operation Padlock to Protect and that they really want to get this shut down. Contrast that with Mayor Bowser in D.C. She's been silent on this issue forever. She has not been willing to do what needs to be done to help us, the operators. She, has been sympathetic towards these stores. There was supposed to be a task force that was set to begin just after Labor Day in 2022. And at the last minute, she stepped in and shut it down. Rumored to be because the lobbyist hired by the illegal stores was a close friend of hers and her chief of staff at the time. So it's been difficult getting the city on board with how to address this problem. And it's become such a large, rampant problem in the city. You've got 250 illegal stores. It's about the same number of liquor stores there are in the city. So it's a lot for them to go after, even though it's a small, amount of square mileage to cover. So we are supposed to be seeing enforcement here happening in the next few weeks, we hope. ABCA is the regulatory agency for alcohol and cannabis. They are ready to go. They've just been waiting on the police department to be prepared and ready. So we hope to see some action here soon. But if it doesn't happen, more licensees are going to continue to go out of business. At this point, we have 4 cultivation licenses open. And, you can't support a market on just 4 brands. We need more brands. We need more cultivators. We need more manufacturers. We need more of everything. we do have a supply, there's enough supply in the district to support a lot of new stores coming online. And there is some expansion from an existing cultivator. There's a new cultivator coming online later this fall. So we're well positioned to support a big influx of customers into the medical market, but that's not going to happen unless the illegal stores get closed down. So we're really just waiting on that to happen.
Grace, what other options do you guys, operators in DC, have if, the lobbyists aren't able to make any movement forward, or if the mayor is kind of, putting a block on things? What other courses of actions do you think groups like yourself can take?
Short-term actions that would actually support us staying in business, I can't think of any. I mean, I suppose after this, our next best option is a class action lawsuit against the city for, failing to remove this obstacle to the operators. And I mean, these are criminal enterprises. You're not allowed to traffic, thousands of pounds of cannabis across the country.
Right.
And no understanding of I-71. Is that legal? They're often uncovering unregulated firearms. So last week there was a raid. They found 6 unlicensed firearms in a district at a location that had previously had, shootings and other incidents associated with the address. In March, MPD seized product from several of the stores and did some testing, and they found amphetamines in a lot of the flour that they tested. So, wow. We're kind of at a loss. If this doesn't work, if this padlocking program doesn't work, our only other option is to sue the city, which will take a very long time. And a lot of operators are going to go out of business in that time, including new operators who are opening up now. There's a lot of retailers that are transitioning or opening up. There was a social equity round over the summer, and those people are trying to open up faster than any other licensee, and they're not going to be able to succeed if the city doesn't do its job in closing down the illegal market.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I'm more curious. So the market itself, I mean, I live in Maryland, where I live outside of Annapolis, but I'm curious, how big is the district market in general? I mean, is it equivalent to, say, Rhode Island in size? I'm trying to think of how there's so many collar counties, PG and others, but, the district itself, what do you see as the customer base?
So the current medical market is estimated about $35 million a year.
Okay.
The illegal market, New Frontier Data is a DC-based firm, and they have estimated the illegal market to be at around $600 million per year, which I think is probably a little bit high, but, it's an illegal market, so there's really very few other ways to estimate it. So I think, do I think 600 is realistic? Perhaps not. Do I think 300 to 400 million is realistic, like a 10x to where we currently are? Absolutely. So and this is all tax dollars. The city is not cultivating.
Yeah, it's the price is comparable that you said, right? You're having to compete with the illegal market on price. Why are people still going there? Just because of accessibility, or because of the variety of brands that they can get from the product from California and all these other states?
Both of those things for sure. I mean, there are a lot of government employees and ex-military who aren't really comfortable registering to purchase. Yeah. They like the anonymity of purchasing at an I-71 store, which, if any of those people are listening, they do collect all of your data, and they've offered to sell it to us. So you're on a list whether you think you are or not.
That's very important for people to be aware of. I can just speak from my own experience again. These stores, because they're not operating above board, sometimes you can walk in and off the iPad, you can order things that are not legal to purchase, like mushrooms or, anything.
DMT. You can buy a DMT vape cart at these stores, which is... And mushrooms were, Initiative 81 in the district made psilocybin a lower enforcement priority, and a lot of people have interpreted that to mean legalized, and that's not the same thing. It just means it's a lower enforcement priority. So a lot of them are selling mushrooms, which is not legal under any understanding of anything. Yeah, so there's the anonymity function. There's definitely the variety of products. I mean, people are selling products that have zero regulation at all. They're selling edibles that are not regulated by anyone. So you're buying 1,000 milligram brownie. You have no idea if the testing on that is legitimate. You have no idea how old it is. There's no track and trace program if you have some kind of adverse reaction or get really sick. There's no legitimacy to any of these products. So that's definitely a part of it. And another part is that some people just have no idea that these places aren't legal. I mean, if you walk by a brick and mortar store and it says that you can buy cannabis there, most people are thinking that, well, there's no way this place could be illegal is a brick and mortar store that's allowed to be open. Like the city
right out of the
out
Yeah. Yep.
So a lot of people just genuinely have no idea that they're not purchasing at a legal licensed store.
I mean, the amount of the advantages that they have. I mean, if you're competing on price with them, but they're not having to. I'm sure they're not paying taxes on most of the stuff, except maybe on the stickers they're selling for $60 or $80, and not even having to buy metric tags for the cultivation. I mean, in the district itself, the cultivators, I assume they're following all the same regulations other licensees have to regarding how metric operates. So they're operating with all the metric tags. You got package tags on your deliveries coming in. You're using transfer manifest. Is that correct? It operates just the same as everywhere else.
Yes, exactly the same. Every plant has a plant tag. Every plant harvested, you record the individual weight. Every product has a package tag. We have monthly inspections where if we're making adjustments, we have to explain and justify those to our regulators. We have to pull video footage. We have to,
Yeah.
And then you can't even write off most of your expenses still. And they're not, it's
the district passed 2 years ago law allowing us to at least be able to deduct those 280E expenses in the district, but the mayor didn't fund them in her budget. So it didn't actually mean anything. It was just.
She's not a big friend of yours.
She is not. And I'm not a big friend of hers at this point either.
Yeah. She doesn't sound to be on Team District.
She has failed our industry.
Sounds like it.
I've actually met a couple of the people in the district who are who have lobbied to set up that initiative. So and some of the stories I heard, about how it does operate about little grows throughout the district, even in people's attics and things like that. Not just being imported from out of state, but actual unlicensed growers throughout the district, and obviously no lab testing or anything else. And you're right, people will have no idea when they're walking by these places that they're not legitimate stores that are legal. And then the products that they have, they come fully packaged in cellophane with barcodes. They all look completely legitimate, but they do need to be aware that it's not lab tested. A lot of the stuff, probably the stuff from California is, especially if it has a metric sticker or something on it.
But a lot of the product coming from California is diverted product that failed lab testing.
Yes.
California. So perhaps it has been lab tested, but not in your favor.
Correct. It failed. Bree, I know you've been in those shops. You've seen them yourself. It'd be great if you could take a little road trip to District Cannabis, because it's not that far from you, and just check out their dispensary there.
Absolutely.
We're located right off Union Market. So there's the Union Market Square, and then there's the streets surrounding it and a square right around it. So it's an awesome location. Union Market sees 3 million people a year, and our sales have been much slower to start than we were anticipating, because about 25% of people that walk in the door find out that they have to self-certify and immediately walk back out again. Awesome location. So,
but it's only $10, right? It's only $10, and it's free for the district.
It's free if you're a district resident, and you get it in less than 5 minutes. You have it on your phone. So,
wow! And then once you have it, you're good to go. So, what do you guys use? I'm just more curious. So, your point of sale system, what have you guys chosen? Is there any standard the district uses?
So we use Dutchie for our POS.
Okay.
And we actually launched delivery today, so that's really exciting. But yeah, I mean, it's all the same technologies available to us in the district.
That's awesome. The district's always been one of those areas, even though I live adjacent to it here in Maryland, I've never quite understood it. I mean, and I've been doing this for 5 years, and we've kind of even tried to get some of our systems in there to help people with things like audits and harvests and things. That's what we do. It's just been interesting. And I say that because it's almost like I'm saying that with a little bit of, I never quite got my handle around how it works.
No, it's tough, right? Because you got the mayor, and then you've also, and the city government, but then you've also got Congress over all of that. I have a question regarding that. So lobbying efforts, what kind of trade organization do the licensees have in the district, and how strong is it?
So we just started a new trade association. We'd had a couple different medical trade associations in years past. And then last summer it was disbanded, and then we started up a new one this summer. Now that we have all these new licensees coming on board. The Regulated Cannabis Association of DC. So it's open to people who are licensed and open, as well as licensees who have been placarded. So that is in the steps of licensure. That's equivalent to phase 1 in Maryland, where they have accepted your application, and there's in the district, there's something called a 45-day placard period where you have your advisory neighborhood commission, business owners and people in the immediate surrounding area of your business. So they have a 45-day period to, object or accept your business being there. They can't stop you from being there, but if they have issues, you work together to come to a settlement agreement, like maybe you don't stay open past 10 p.m., maybe you don't, have music or, certain things like that. A lot of stuff that we're not allowed to do anyway under the regulations. So the settlement agreements thus far have been pretty minimal. If you have reached that placarded stage, which means that your license has been accepted and you have identified real estate, as long as you are not continuing to sell illegally, you are welcome to our trade association. So 12 or 13 members at this point and still growing. We hope to see a lot of new licensees coming on board and joining up with us. But right now it's, we're mostly just doing some group organizing for our lobbying. We don't have a group lobbyist at the moment because it's been a really hard year financially for everyone. Everyone is just really struggling. So we are most effective as a group.
So we've seen some great results come out of trade associations in other states. Maryland has a really good one, and Missouri is like the model that a lot of other states are looking to now because their MOCAN trade association has been extremely successful. Wouldn't you agree, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, there's certain groups that are really pulling the market together, pulling everybody under one roof so that they can have one voice. That's what's key, right? If you do it individually, it's very difficult. But like I said, if you can get the power of the people, for lack of better terms, behind you, you can really start to get the people to listen.
Absolutely. Yeah, our CFO is the treasurer for the Maryland Trade Association, and I'm the co-chair for our DC Trade Association. So we've definitely gotten in some, great progress through the associations. And we also, ABCA in DC they're a wonderful regulator. They're, so open to talking to you. They already hold quarterly meetings with all the stakeholders, and now through the Trade Association, we get to meet with them quarterly through there as well. But you email them at 9:00 at night, they will email you back at 9:30 p.m. Like, they are always available. They're the hardest working government agency that I've worked with. They're working on holidays, they're working weekends. When everybody else was remote during COVID, they were in the office. Like, they really understand that they have a big problem in front of them, and they're doing the best that they can in the bureaucratic system that they have to exist in. We're delighted to be working with them, and if anybody can solve this problem, it's going to be them, as long as we can get the other agencies on board as well, and the mayor.
So, Grace, for any of our listeners that might be tuning in, if they're interested in figuring or learning more about District Cannabis in either Maryland or DC, and learning, how they can get their hands on some safe, good products, where can they find that information at?
Sure. So our website is districtcannabis.us. And our Instagram actually just got shut down permanently.
Oh, that happens to all of us.
Yeah, man. We got a lot of little temporary bans along the years, but we just had a Canna Cribs episode come out. Canna Cribs fans.
We know those guys. Yeah.
There's definitely a lot of foot traffic to the page from that. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if some of the illegal stores were reporting us at this point in time, because I've been quite public in the media recently. Our new Instagram handle is District CNBS. So yes, please come follow us and like our posts so we can start to build up our following again. That was devastating. And then our store is located at 513 Morse Street Northeast, which is right next to Union Market. So very
cool.
Accessible.
I'm going to be in DC later this year, so I will stop on by. I'm trying to follow you on Instagram right now, District CNBS.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. And I am following you. You got 2 posts on here already and already 787 followers. So that's pretty good for a couple days. All right.
We're hoping it wasn't going to be true, and it was.
Happens all the time. So, Grace, we finish every episode by asking our guests the same question. So, Bree, why don't you do the honors?
Thank you, Hans. So, Grace, we all like to know, who is your favorite outlaw?
My favorite outlaw, I would have to say, is one of our co-founders, Ed Weidenfeld. He passed away just about 2 years ago now. He is a very unlikely owner of a cannabis company. And so he was a lawyer, and he worked in Ronald Reagan's administration and had, really made a hard 180 on cannabis when he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. So, went from staunch supporter of,
say no to drugs,
to, really publicly endorsing cannabis. He, was a consumer for his own personal needs, but was, just a real passionate advocate for cannabis as medicine and all the things that it can do for people. Wonderful political advocate for us as well, really helped move the program forward, self-certification. The idea started with him. So he has really helped transform the landscape in the district, despite having, Parkinson's and cancer at the end, lived a very long and fulfilling life. Ronald Reagan would be rolling over in his grave.
He might have done a 180 too. Who knows?
That's a good outlaw.
A very good outlaw, yes. Well, thank you so much, Grace, for being on Cannabis Roundup. It was extremely informative. I'm sure our listeners across the country will be very curious as to how the market progresses in the district.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thanks, everyone, for listening. If you have any questions you'd like us to ask on our show about compliance, metric, automation, or anything regarding cannabis, please email them to us at info@outlawtechnology.net. And you can download past episodes of our program by going to outlawtechnology.net, cannabisradio.com, or the Cannabis Radio app for iTunes and Google Play, as well as subscribing to the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Pandora, YouTube, and Spotify, and any other place podcasts can be found. Thanks for listening, and be well.